All righty. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'barei.
L'chaim.
Amen.
Chaim l'chaim v'bracha. Welcome, a good morning, a good Chodesh, a freiliche Chanukah. Welcome one and all. Okay, just looking here. All right, maybe it's working, I don't know. We continue with a discourse, the mimer on Chanukah. We explained that everything that is in this world that's a negative force, an evil force, including Pharaoh himself. Can't get more evil than Pharaoh himself. As he said, you know, I made myself and I made the river too, the Nile River, right? He's a god. Self-made, the original self-made man. What we know of self-made man is like someone who came from the Holocaust with nothing and then made something of themselves financially, perhaps politically, and so on and so forth, right? But he took it to the nth degree, and that he is self-made, that he is self-created, a god. That's pretty low. That's an indication that his source above comes from holiness, as everything originates from holiness. Why does it originate in holiness? Because it originates in God. It doesn't originate in the anti-God, in Satan, because Satan himself is only a messenger of God. So it doesn't comes from holiness. However, as the principle is, the greater something is, the greater the fall is, right? If you're a 7-foot, 2-inch, basketball player, when you fall, it's gonna, it can be a bad fall. But if you're a little kid that's only 3 years old and you fall, you're close to the ground to begin with, so the fall is not going to be as terrible. So that's just a metaphor. And as the Zohar explains that the word Pharaoh itself means has a meaning to uncover. So what does it mean? The light of Pharaoh, the Zohar says, is covered up. And now what you need to do is uncover it. And that's, in general, the whole idea of darkness, spiritual darkness, which is reflected in physical darkness, that the idea is to uncover. Metaphorically, darkness, when the sun sets, that is metaphorically Golus, exile, where God's presence has been in exile. That's a concept of marketplace, where the last ones in the marketplace are the Tarmadoi, the wood gatherers who gather, whatever kind of leftover on the market in the marketplace of wood for the evening cold weather that people would need to come back to purchase firewood in the wintertime. They were the last ones to leave the market. And therefore, you light the menorah from when the sun sets until the last ones in the marketplace, Tarmadoi. And as we explained, marketplace means a place of plurality where the oneness of God is not recognized. There's forces in the marketplace, right? Literally, that's how we speak about, you speak about the marketplace, there's different forces that bring about, the current price in the market. That's a concept of plurality, right? Metaphorically. And all right. And also Tarmadoi represents rebellion. The word Tarmadoi spells the word rebellion, the letters. And all of this then is meant, right, to be recognized that in its root source, it comes from a higher place, which is a phenomenal idea. That first, to recognize that in its root source, it's very lofty, right? Not to say that Pharaoh, in the way he is down here, the way he's acting down here, the way he is down here, right, is lofty. No, he's evil, right? But meaning in his root source. And the whole purpose of that negativity, whether it be darkness of exile, whether it be the rebellion against God that comes from a feeling that there's duality in this world and not a oneness of God, that culminates in the ultimate of evil, Pharaoh, who, sees himself as a god. All of that is a descent, right? In order that there should be a greater descent thereafter, that we refine these lower things in creation and to elevate them. To elevate them, not just merely to elevate them, but to elevate them to a place that was greater than what they were originally before they came down. Before this entity called darkness of exile, this entity called marketplace, Tarmadoi, and even Pharaoh, to a higher place than where it fell from. Whoa. That's a different way to look at your challenge in life and the darkness that you need to deal with it, whether it's your own darkness or it's a darkness that you're dealing with, someone else. That's a very powerful idea. So this concept gives great insight to the statement from the Zohar, that the Zohar says that the sun rises and the sun sets, and to its place it yearns, and it shines there. Second. That's from Ecclesiastes from King Solomon. So on a simple level, this verse means that the sun sets, it yearns for its place where it will rise in the east and shine the next morning, right? That's what it wants to do. It wants to shine. However, on a deeper level, the Zohar explains that its place refers to the west, where the sun sets. You'd think that, right? Counterintuitive. Think, well, what the sun wants to do is to shine, right? So when the sun sets, it goes to the west, and the west is called the place of the sun, meaning that the proper place of the sun is the west, where it sets, not where it rises. And that's why the sun moves towards the west over the course of the day. Whoa, okay. Hear that? The sun moves. So it yearns to be going to the west, where the sun will eventually set. What does that mean? So this is a deep metaphor, Kabbalistic. Hold on to your Kabbalistic cap, Chaim. The West refers to the divine attribute of Malchus. As we know, the Shechina, or as it states, the Shechina, meaning the divine presence of God, which is Malchus. Malchus is the 10th and final divine attribute, royalty, sovereignty. And I'm not going to go into deep explanation of that right now. We've learned this concept before. But Shechina is in the West. The divine presence of God is in the West. In the Holy Temple, the Holy of Holies, where the divine Shekhinah, where the divine presence was primarily, was in the western part of the sanctuary. Here we go. Here's the Holy of Holies, is right here. This is west. This is the east. Entrance is in the east. And all the way to the west over here is the Holy of Holies. Okay. Why is it in the west? Because that's where the divine presence rests. Why? Because it's the attribute of Malchus. Now, the sun going towards the west refers to the six emotions, six spheres, divine attributes that are six emotions called Zerampin, right? Which is referring to the sun. So the sun, which metaphorically is like the six emotions, that is shining, right? The emotions shine right? So in addition to descending into the higher level of Malchus as it functions as a receiver in the world of Atzilus, it also refers to the lower level of Malchus as it descends and becomes a source of the lower worlds, Abri, Yetzirah, and Asiya. Once it descends to these lower worlds, it is considered the light of Atzilus has set, like the setting of the sun, and no longer revealed within these lower worlds. Wow. So let me explain. briefly. Very powerful idea. So the metaphor over here is as follows. Royalty, Malchus is royalty. Royalty, on the one hand, the king, right? The royal king is beyond all of the people, the subjects of the land. The true concept of royalty, right? Real king. Head and shoulders above. Yet the function of the king is to be there for the people and totally given over to the people. That's the purpose of the king, not the opposite, right? And then the only reason that people are subjugated to the king is in order that he can be there for them ultimately, as far as the king, right? So on the one hand, the king is elevated. On the other hand, the whole point of the king is to go down to lower himself to the people, right? Lower himself to the people. Yes, because he's royalty. He's royalty, but that's his purpose. That's his function, is to do that. And he does it, you know, Moses was a king. He had the definition of a king, and he completely lowered himself because he is just head and shoulders way above the people with his holiness. And yet his function was not to remain above the people and have the people serve him. No, he was there to serve the people. That's the concept of royalty. So take the metaphor over here is the sun is yearning to set, meaning to go down, right? Sun sets, the sun goes down. The sun meaning the six emotions to go and to be, to now go towards the west, which is Malchus, to be, now those huge, amazing, divine, um, heavenly emotions, if you will, to be received by Malchus, the royalty, and then to bring it down into the next world, into Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya. And that's what it's yearning for. With that, I'm going to conclude. I hope I hope you got it, because it's quite a beautiful metaphor. And that's what the sun is yearning. And it's yearning to do its function to sunset, to set into the, into Malchus, into the next world, to bring there the light. But it's not, but now the holiness is covered over. As the sun sets, you don't see the sun. Well, likewise, as the divine attributes of God, his kindness, now as it comes into Bria, Yitzhak, and Asiya, right? His kindness is covered over. We don't see it. We don't see it. So we see where we're going. All right, we'll see you shortly, folks. Thank you.